Morning. It's Friday, and I want to give you an update on what's happening in Baja California. And I'll be perfectly honest. I'm going to just cut right to the chase and talk about what our need is. And so you can see our total need there is 143 families, a little over $4,300. So far, we have about, I think it's 116 to go. And need to raise $3,600, almost $3,700 to meet the need. So the situation right now, we were all hoping that we would get to June 23rd next week, and the U.S. government and the Mexican government would reopen the border, that they would take away the sanitation filter entering Ensenada, so that basically people could get back to work and we could start seeing this need drop. Unfortunately, the situation as it is with COVID, they extended it another month. Obviously, who are we to question public health? They know what they're doing, and so the border restrictions have been extended all the way to July 21st as the minimum date that things would reopen, and they've also extended the sanitation filter entering Ensenada until at least July 1st. And so the practical impact of that is a couple of things, and I want you to think about this as we continue to meet needs. Ensenada is largely a tourism town, and so it depends on, particularly this time of year, tourists crossing the border to stay at hotels and to enjoy vacations, because it's an amazingly beautiful place to come. It's close to the border, it's within 2 hours, and so tons of Americans go there. The cruise industry is a huge part of Ensenada's economy, provides lots of jobs. Each week, 3 or 4 cruise ships arrive from the United States, carrying passengers from LA and San Diego and other places to just bring in tons of revenue that, of course, right now has been suspended. And so that's what leads to thousands of jobs. Basically, people are out of work. There's also a thing that maybe you don't understand, is that because of the border restrictions, there are quite a number of people who live in Ensenada and in TJ and all over Baja California who cross the border legally into the United States to work and to make money for their families that they take home to Mexico. And so that's obviously not happening, because if you don't have an essential job in the United States, what is deemed as essential, that means you can't work. And so those are like more high paying jobs that brings in larger money to the local economy, which of course has a trickle down effect in that the money that those folks spend pays for a lot of other people to have jobs, and so on and so forth. And so the economic outlook continues to be quite poor. And like I've mentioned before, while the Mexican government is doing the best they can to distribute basic food items and to meet some of those needs, they're not able to provide an income in the same way that we have in the United States, with economic impact payments, with extensions on unemployment and things like that. Most Mexican workers are not getting any sort of unemployment. And so as this stretches on from March to April to May to June and going into July, even the most prepared families, the families that had a lot of savings, or a spouse who had a job that was deemed essential, all of those individuals are truly suffering. And so that's why we're here. That's why we're raising these funds, so we can empower local churches to find those people who have a legitimate and a real need for food, that they are making a choice between staying home from finding a job at a restaurant or something like that, or staying home for another 2 weeks to protect their family from contracting COVID, which is still quite active in Baja California. As of this moment, it's in the red category, which is the worst in the system that Mexico is using. And so that's why we're asking. That's why I wish I was every week I film this video hoping that this would be the last time, but it's going to be a while. And so that's why we're asking for you to consider a donation of $30, which helps one family, which would help us get to our total need is of 116. But I also want to ask for folks maybe that could give more. The only way we're going to get to $3,700 today is if people give at every level. So $10 or $30 or $100. We've had churches and nonprofits give at $1,000 or $3,000. And so that's what we need today, in order to be perfectly honest and blunt, to get to that goal. I just for clarity, I don't get anything out of this. Just to make sure everybody understands that, like, this is not a money making scheme for Adam. This is actually Adam spending money to spend my Saturday driving to Ensenada to deliver these funds to our church partners, people who are also not making any money by going out to grocery stores and whatnot to deliver these foods. They're taking risks themselves. And so the only person who benefits by your donation is literally the recipient. So there's not like giant administrative fees that are happening. It's basically, if you give $30 to this, I've personally have been eating all of the costs of actually delivering the funds from so on and so forth, mileage and our own personal donations and things like that. So I'm not asking you to not make a sacrifice that I'm actually making myself. And so that's why I'm asking again. It's a big need, I know, and today's actually become somewhat of a national holiday with Juneteenth, and so I'm aware that many people aren't even going to see this video because they're out learning about Juneteenth or celebrating Juneteenth, maybe for the first time, which I find is totally amazing. And so that's where we're at. I'm humbly asking you on behalf of the local churches in Ensenada and TJ to consider a donation of any amount. There's a link over here or down there, however that works for you. Please give, and I'll report back. Thank you.